Hey, welcome to the channel. We hope that you enjoy today's stories and check out the chapters on the video to see all the stories for today. But before we get into this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notified when we release a new video. So let's get into the video.
I heard the asylum's dead residents over a phone call. My husband works at the Oregon State Hospital, a facility infamous for its past treatment of mental illness, and where the classic film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was shot. Despite its dark past, the facility had become a place of healing for many individuals suffering from mental illness. However, as with many older buildings, a portion of the asylum was scheduled to be demolished. As part of his cleaning duties, my husband ventured into the abandoned portion of the building, which had been devoid of any human activity for a considerable length of time. As he worked, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. During his lunch break, he decided to call me to check in. I answered the phone. I could hear what sounded like people talking in the distance. However, the voices were muffled and indistinct. He sounded distracted and didn't seem to listen to anything I said. Irritated, I snapped at him and asked if he was calling to talk to me or them. My husband was confused and quickly replied that he was alone in the building. My heart sank as I realized that something wasn't right. There was a panic in his voice that I had never heard before in our 19 years of marriage. After that experience, my husband was understandably shaken but continued working at the asylum. He never had another experience like that again, but the memory of that day still creeps us out.
The cursed mansion across the road. This experience happened a while back, but I thought I might as well share it on here for you guys to read. So back in the mid-2000s I lived in this house with my dad, my mom and my sister. Across the road from this house was this massive mansion which had a lot of residential turnovers which my family, me included, believes is cursed. My sister and I were kind of scared of it anyways because it was this big dark house that felt uninviting and cold. When my family moved into our house, there was a wealthy businessman living in the mansion across the road who moved in a few months before us. This guy was really rich, had luxury cars, massive dinner parties with his rich friends, etc. He owned a bunch of businesses and started a new business shortly after we moved in, and after almost 6 months of starting this business, he went bankrupt. He lost everything, he sold all of his luxury cars, he had no more dinner parties, and he quickly became an alcoholic. He ended up selling his house because he of course couldn't afford it. After he sold the house, a young recently married couple moved in. I have no idea how they afforded the house, but nonetheless they moved in and settled in quickly. My parents actually become quite good friends with them, and we would have them over for dinner occasionally. They stayed in the house for about 2 years, but within that 2 years, they'd had 3 miscarriages. The wife ended up becoming depressed and even had to be committed to a psych ward because she was thinking about ending her own life. These 2 incidents could be just classified as bad luck or unfortunate events, but the third one in my opinion solidifies this house as being cursed. So, another couple moved into the house after the other couple decided to move, and this couple were pretty wealthy. They hired a maid to stay in the house to assist them with cooking and cleaning, etc. After a year of them living there, we once again got pretty close to this couple and would sometimes have dinner with them and swim in the pool that they had. One night my dad woke up and had a strange feeling. He heard something outside, so looked out his bedroom window and saw the maid packing her car in the middle of the night. The couple that was living there was away for the weekend and the maid was staying at the house. He thought it was weird and was a bit concerned, but didn't think much of it and went back to sleep. After he went back to sleep, he had a dream that the maid ended up ending her own life in the garage of the house. He woke up in the morning a bit shaken from his dream and had a sort of sixth sense feeling. He decided to go over there and check if everything was okay. He rang the doorbell but didn't get an answer. He decides to go around the back of the house to see if the back door was unlocked. The back door was unlocked, so he went in. He entered the living room and saw the maid hanging from the chandelier. He instantly ran home and called the police and ambulance, but by that point, it was too late. I remember seeing my dad after the event and he was as white as a ghost. Of course, he didn't tell us what had happened as we were only young. He ended up telling us when I was about 15 to 16. I don't bring it up to him because he hates talking about it and gets really upset about the whole thing. We moved a little while after the last event happened. I still have no idea what happened to the next family that moved in, but I seriously hope that nothing bad happened to them. I know this story is kind of hard to believe, and whenever I tell people about, they sometimes don't believe me, but I can wholeheartedly swear that this happened. To this day I am convinced that the mansion was cursed.
If you're enjoying today's video, smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos and interesting stories. Now let's get back to the stories of our lives.
My incredibly basic unexplained moment in Theater 15. I've seen a lot of posts on here with some incredible stories. Stuff related to lost loved ones, potential demons, and absolutely bizarre circumstances that are unexplainable. As a skeptic who loves the subject, I realized today that I had one really small story I can share here that I still have a hard time explaining. For a few years, I worked my way up at a local movie theater that I passionately loved. I was made management really quickly, the bare minimum amount of time I could be, and there were a lot of new responsibilities with it. I spent many late nights alone in the projection booth, which was a long dark hallway to our 16-screen theater. And at night, around 1 to 3 a.m. depending on the last show and closing progress, one of the last things to do was go up there and power everything down. And let me tell you, it was absolutely prime material for spookiness. All lights out, with just the bare lights of the theaters coming through the projection windows. Lights are on at night in theaters for the cleaning crew, and nothing. Nope, not even one time did anything remotely interesting happen up there. I thought it was just a fantastic atmosphere for a spooky moment. But nope, just a cool, quiet, peaceful, dark place. Several times I thought about how wild it was to be alone in the theater late at night. As a horror/paranormal fan, I always thought it would have been a perfect setting. And nothing ever happened really. Until one morning in Theater 15. One of my other jobs when I didn't work late was the opposite end of the spectrum. It was opening. So, I got in about an hour and a half before the first show started, went upstairs to the power booth, prep our IMAX projectors. Go downstairs and get candy or concession displays out, make sure tills are ready. I make sure everyone is arriving on time and complete my walkthrough before doors are unlocked a half hour before the first show. It was a lot, but you get a routine, and usually, I was able to complete the full theater walkthrough before the doors unlocked. On busier days, we would have a manager to help open. And today was one of those days. South close to doors unlocking, I'm scrambling to finish the walkthrough. Theater 15 is one of our bigger theaters. So, on a walkthrough, we check lights, ceiling tiles, chairs, especially our list of broken ones to make sure they haven't been fixed yet, and overall smell and trash etc. to see how the cleaning crew did. So, I make my way to the theater. The pre-show music is playing, so the booth has been taken care of and the audio sounds good, and I make my way to the top row to work my way down inspecting the theater. As I'm standing on the top row, I hear distinct heavy boot steps running quickly, coming from right at the screen on the front row. This was not a creak, or a pop, or even a single thud. These were heavy footsteps, on our hardwood flooring, dashing from the side I was on to the opposite side right underneath the screen. My first thought wasn't even like, this is the ghost moment. I knew that the back of that screen is an alley, and it shares the alley with a restaurant. So, at first, I thought maybe the sound came from outside. Because we do have an exit door right there where the sound started. So, I go back down to see if I hear more noise from outside, and as soon as I got down there, in the row I was standing in, I hear even louder footsteps sprint straight across the top row to where I was standing. I'm now in the middle of these two instances and going, huh, okay, no way. So, I ran back up the stairs and got right up to the top row. Our theater has reclining seats, so half of the seats are now empty and extended areas for the chairs to recline. I check behind the top row where we have some extra floor space. Nobody can hide under the chairs, it's all wiring and electronics for the seats. I've had to fix them several times when something comes loose. And I know that it definitely sounded like the original Dash was inside, but it just seemed more likely it was noise from the alley. So last-ditch effort to explain this moment. I thought maybe someone was in the alley, and somebody was upstairs in the booth, and I heard them, since it was the top row. So, I use my walkie.
Hey management, is anyone in a booth near 15?
I ask.
No, we're in the office. Do you need someone up there?
My coworker asks. The general manager was also there today doing scheduling. So, I get doors unlocked, get back to the office, and tell them my tale about how I tried to debunk it, and to this day they tell new hires about the ghost in 15. Do I think it? Nah, not enough has happened consistently or to really anyone else for me to say it could be something more than a super weird moment. But that being said, and as one of the only paranormal moments I have ever experienced, I can't explain it. Thanks for letting me share a fun story from my time working there here.
If you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and check out more videos from the channel.